Welcome to a brand new episode of the Jampack Report, today for November the 11th of 2019. Of course, my name is Samuel Adams, and this is a daily gaming news podcast meant to bring you the hottest stories from around the industry 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, on YouTube and podcast services around the world. Of course, if you want a written version of the show along with links to the show proper, you can find that on medium.com/JampackReport. But regardless of where you get it, be sure to follow and subscribe to stay up to date and informed every single weekday. Now, with that being said, reports emerged over the weekend that Skate, the beloved electronic arts skating franchise, was actually dead. The trademark had lapsed. It looked like things were going down the pipe, but lo and behold, everybody read into the situation before doing real research, and boom shakalaka, it looks like Skate lives on. Then we're talking about the comments that Hideo Kojima has made about American audiences in regards to Death Stranding reviews. Very interesting perspective this man takes, one that I would say is a bit controversial. Speaking of reception of Death Stranding, we have the figures in for the UK charts as far as week 1 goes, and it looks like the game is selling pretty dang well. Then BioWare is hinting at Dragon Age 4. Sony has filed a patent for a curious new cartridge, but don't get your hopes up for a new PlayStation Vita. Then Resident Evil 2 sales are about to surpass the original in terms of lifetime sales. And finally, Halo has entered production on the Showtime show. But that is our lineup for today's program, and I hope you enjoy what I bring to the table. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it. First off, Skate trademark not abandoned as previously expected. Renewal for the missing in action sports franchise. Over the course of the last week, fans of EA's seemingly forgotten series Skate were feeling a little blue as reports filtered through the internet that the publisher had legally abandoned the trademark, essentially canceling the series itself for good. But further digging by All Gamers has unearthed that rather than straight abandonment, EA actually renewed the Skate license afresh back on June 24th, preserving the company's old hold on the IP for a further 10 years. This license, of course, also pertains to all previous titles and any possible re-releases or remakes, so although the trademark has been refreshed, it is unfortunately no confirmation of the requested Skate 4. So while Skate has officially not been since spinning into the oblivion of expired trademarks anytime soon, there still might be some work to do to convince EA fans are still raring for another go on the halfpipe. Of course, you can keep the faith, you Pepsi Max lovers. But this is a mind-blowingly confusing situation because everybody wants to see a brand new Skate game. Of course, I was never a huge fan of the franchise myself because I'm more of the arcade kind of approach with Tony Hawk and that kind of experience. But with Skate, it did have a huge audience. It does have a huge audience. And of course, everybody would love to see what a new Skate game would look like on the newest generation of consoles natively. Of course, I believe the Skate games are backwards compatible on the Xbox One. But at the same time, to be able to see a new engine, to be able to see just what is possible in the world of Skate in 2019, or maybe even on the next generation of consoles, sounds like something that many people would be on board for. If I were to be an executive at Electronic Arts that was trying to make a move here and make Skate a reality, I would probably go with a reboot at this point just because it's been so long since the franchise actually came out. But at the same time, it is not dead, as made the rounds on social media. No, it seems like the Skate trademark is alive and well, but no game in the works as of right now, at least nothing public. However, let's move on and talk about Death Stranding yet again because, according to VG247, game with poop grenades, difficult to understand for Americans, according to Kojima. Death Stranding, a game where characters are named after their personalities and every bit of exposition is repeated about 20 times, was too complex for some critics, according to director, casting director, writer, video editor, and Monster Energy affiliate Hideo Kojima. The debut game from his new startup studio, Kojima Productions, released last week to mostly positive reviews. Even our own Death Stranding review, they say, noted that the flawed game had some good ideas, though a lot of its charms wear off a good portion into the 50-hour adventure. Most critics loved it, however, securing it an 83 on Metacritic. Kojima spoke about the game's reception in an interview with TGCom24. I have to say that the game received enthusiastic reviews, especially in Europe and Japan. Here in the United States, on the other hand, we had stronger criticism, he said. Maybe this is a game that is difficult to understand for a certain type of critic or audience. Americans are big fans of first-person shooters, and Death Stranding is not. It is flying higher. I always try to create new things, and disputes and discussions are fine, but it must be said that the Italians or the French have a different artistic sensibility that allows them to appreciate this kind of very original products. According to VGC's analysis of the score, scores, many of the lower scores were actually from European and Australian publications, while many of the bigger US publications gave it 9s and 10s out of 10s. Death Stranding is coming to PC next summer as published by 505 Games on the Epic Games Store as well as Steam. So, that's the statement that Kojima chose to make here, and I do want to say that he's not entirely wrong in the statement overall. There is a tendency for Americans to enjoy the action-packed games. They do tend to enjoy the shooter genre more as compared to other areas of the world. But even with that being taken into consideration, the next topic we're talking about are the UK charts. Call of Duty Modern Warfare is still a #1 seller over there, so to generalize on this kind of grand scale is probably a step too far, but at the same time, this is just completely and totally bullshit. I'm not even going to beat around the bush with this one. When it comes to Death Stranding, it is a game that is well beyond anything that we've really seen in the realm of mainstream gaming. It's something that goes above and beyond. It does fly higher, but at the same time, it's a game that on its surface level, if you really get into it, has a huge potential to still not make one iota of sense at the end of the day. And so whenever you create something like this, you shouldn't be shocked whenever people worldwide receive it well, but there are some that are just confused and blindsided by what you've created. And so I think that what you have here is Hideo Kojima kind of riding his high horse a bit because, of course, everybody talks about him in the gaming industry like he's some kind of modern god. And so whenever that begins to kind of get to your head, you see what other people are saying. You see people that are saying, this is confusing. I don't know, 6.8 out of 10. Well, you know, it's a weird situation here. Death Stranding, a weird game. Now, I will say I have not played the game. I do plan on diving into it over the holidays, but I have enjoyed what I've seen so far. Beautiful game. The story seems to be grounded, yet not at the same time. It's definitely something that I think will grab a lot of people's interest, but to generalize and say that Italians and French have a different artistic sensibility is going way too far in your statement, because let's make something very clear. Americans have some artistic sensibility too. We appreciate Death Stranding. It's just that you can't really generalize, especially whenever the evidence shows otherwise. But, you know, I digress. It still debuted at #2 on the UK charts, doing fairly well, just behind Call of Duty Modern Warfare. So, you know, hard to overtake the Goliath. PlayStation's Death Stranding debuts in at #2 in the UK boxed charts. It's the second biggest PS4 exclusive and the second biggest new IP released this year, behind another PS4 exclusive, Days Gone, which was released in April. Compared to that, Hideo Kojima's new title sold 36% fewer units at launch. It's the first new game from Kojima since the release of Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain, which arrived in September 2015 and was the most successful Metal Gear Solid game to date. It means that Call of Duty Modern Warfare retains #1 for a third consecutive week. The Activision game continues to perform very well, with sales tracking 26% ahead of last year's Black Ops 4. The arrival of Death Stranding means that Luigi's Mansion 3 takes a tumble down the charts. Nintendo's latest Switch game falls from #2 to #4 with a 59% drop in sales week on week. There is a number of new boxed releases this week, with Need for Speed Heat from EA arriving at #5. The Need for Speed franchise has struggled in recent years, and this new title sold 41% fewer boxed units at launch than 2017's Need for Speed Payback. Of course, digital sales are not included in this data. Need for Speed is one of 3 EA games in the charts. FIFA 20 holds on at #3, while Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborville hangs on at #10. That game actually rose in sales this week by 10%, which means its 4th week on sale was bigger than its debut week, a rare feat in the UK physical charts. The shooter has also been a big hit as a download and has sold far more digitally than it has physically. Returning to new releases, a special Fortnite pack, the Darkfire Bundle, published by Warner Bros., lands at #7. Meanwhile, Mario and Sonic at the Tokyo Olympic Games debuts at #8, and it is the most successful Mario and Sonic title since the 2012 Olympic Games, which were released on Nintendo Wii back in 2011. Speaking of Nintendo Wii, there is a new Wii title in the charts this week, Just Dance 2020 at #15. Incredibly, the Wii version is the second most successful version of the game, accounting for 21% of all Just Dance 2020 sales. The Nintendo Switch Edition accounted for 55% of sales, with the PS4 SKU counting for 14% and Xbox One with 10%. And of course, then you have Jumanji, the video game, arriving at number 16. A couple of other honorable mentions here, but ultimately, the big story here is that Death Stranding is the second biggest PS4 launch of 2019, just behind Days Gone. And I do want to comment on that, because Days Gone is a game that, without a doubt, caters to a much wider audience as compared to Death Stranding. Whenever the average gamer looks at Death Stranding and compares this to Days Gone, with Ben Studios' project, you have a motorcycle, you have zombies, freakers, don't want to offend anyone, and you have guns. Need I say more? Very simplistic game, easy to pick up, easy to play, fun to play, good to go. Then you have Death Stranding, a game where ghost people are floating in the air while you wander around with this blinking light on your back, and a baby in a jar strapped to your chest, and you've got to shake the PS4 controller to keep it from crying. Not exactly catering to all audiences with that one. Some, but not all. So to see it debuting at number 2 for its launch week, not shocking considering just how big of a release this is for PS4 in 2019. But to see it certainly below the other PS4 big headlining title of the year that really took the world by storm, not really a big shocker there. However, still a respectable launch for Kojima. But man, those comments, I don't know about that one, Chief. That one's a little bit, not a big fan of those. However, moving on from Death Stranding, BioWare is hinting at a Dragon Age 4 tease in December. Maybe. In a tweet posted Sunday, BioWare hinted at a possible Dragon Age 4 tease for later in the year. Today marks 10 years of Dragon Age, BioWare tweeted. This year, we are excited to join the community's party on December the 4th and celebrate a decade together in the world we all love. See you on 12-4 for Dragon Age Day. Even if this ends up being some sort of announcement or teaser for Dragon Age 4, don't expect to see the actual game for a while. Nico Partners analyst Daniel Ahmad reported on Twitter in late October that EA did not expect Dragon Age 4 to release until at least after March of 2022. Dragon Age 4 was reportedly rebooted in 2017 and influenced by a canceled Dragon Age game. A report from Kotaku previously indicated that Dragon Age 4 may be built on the same code as EA and BioWare's Anthem, with its main story built as a single-player experience, but with multiplayer features added in to keep players coming back later on, though those expectations may change multiple times before release. I hope not. So Dragon Age is never something that I've really gotten into. Of course, Inquisition was the most recent game that came out back in 2013? Let's see, hold on. Dragon Age Inquisition release date. 2014, my bad. November 18th, 2014. And so, whenever that game came out, I did dive into it for a moment, but it certainly is a vast world to explore. It's something that has many, many passionate fans. And of course, the fourth entry in the franchise is something that has been long awaited. The report is that the entire game was rebooted from the ground up multiple times in development, and so now we are on either iteration 2 or 3, depending on which story you want to go by. But with this being considered, it's really too early to start talking about anything. If I had to guess, I would say that you might be seeing some kind of live stream from BioWare on December the 4th. I don't think you're going to be seeing a teaser trailer, because why would you release any kind of information this early on unless you have something to show? It wouldn't make sense to release a Dragon Age game this late in the generation, even if you had it ready to go and waiting. And on top of that, you don't want to pull a Bethesda in general, where you have The Elder Scrolls 6, and then there is no subtitle, there is no information whatsoever except a giant panning zoom over this giant landscape, and then we are just out in the cold for potentially 3 to 5 years. You don't want to make that move. So overall, if you were curious as to what was happening with Dragon Age, stay tuned on December the 4th, because you could be seeing some information about Dragon Age 4, but I wouldn't get your hopes up. But it could come out on Sony's new cartridge. I doubt it, though. Sony files a patent for a curious new cartridge. Tomorrow is in your hands, they say, referring to Death Stranding. Sony has filed a patent for a curious new cartridge in Brazil, raising speculation about the nature of the product it's designed for. The last cartridge-based console that the company released was the ill-fated PlayStation Vita, and with the PlayStation 5 already confirmed to include a 4K Blu-ray drive, it's unlikely to be related to that. Could this be a new handheld? The answer is almost certainly no, because we've seen this here before, haven't we? Around this time last year, the platform holder patented a strangely shaped cartridge, prompting all sorts of speculation. Those rumors were quickly quelled, however, when it emerged that the device was actually for the Sony Toyo, a toy only available in Japan. The new cartridge patent has been submitted by Yujin Morisawa, the same man behind the aforementioned toy. Nothing to see here then? I would say nothing to see here. But I cover these things because I'm sure that you saw the circulation going around where it said, new handheld coming from Sony? Look at this cartridge. It could be the next Nintendo Entertainment System. No, this is nothing at all, unless you're into toys, but hey, you know. Just wanted to keep you up to date. However, Resident Evil 2 Remake, one of the best games of the year in my opinion, its sales are about to surpass the original's lifetime sales. Capcom recently updated its Platinum titles list, revealing that Resident Evil 2's remake is closing in on the original's lifetime sales. The 2019 game has sold 4.7 million units as of September the 30th. The 1998 release sold a total of 4.96 million units. While it's worth noting that the original only released on the PlayStation, whereas the remake is a multi-platform title, selling nearly 5 million units in 8 months is still quite a feat for Capcom. And with the holiday season coming up, we expect this figure to rise significantly by the time the remake celebrates its 1-year anniversary. Elsewhere, Capcom revealed that Monster Hunter World's Iceborne expansion sold 2.8 million copies in less than a month. This doesn't come as a surprise, considering the base game sits at a whopping 14.1 million units sold since its release in January 2018. Other Capcom games that reached the 1 million sales milestone this year include Mega Man 11, Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Edition, and Okami HD. Devil May Cry 5, which released in March of this year, is trailing behind the developer's other major releases with 2.7 million copies sold as of September the 30th. Overall, Capcom is enjoying a fantastic financial year and has good reason to be optimistic about the future. The company has already announced that it plans to revive dormant franchises, leading fans to request new Dino Crisis and Darkstalkers games. As far as Okami is concerned, director Hideki Kamiya has expressed its desire to make a sequel. Considering the success of Okami HD, it's not hard to imagine Capcom greenlighting that game. And so, Resident Evil 2, again a game that is totally worth playing, about to surpass the original, and that doesn't really shock me for a variety of reasons. Number one, again, as the article points out, released on a variety of platforms. You've got it on the PS4, the Xbox One, and the PC. On top of that, the gaming audience of 2019 is very much so bigger as compared to that of the PlayStation generation whenever the original came out. And so to see more people diving into it is something that is pretty much to be expected in an era where gaming is much more widely accepted. And on top of this, how quickly will it surpass the lifetime sales? Oh, within the next month or two, I would say. Right now, according to the Target Black Friday ad, Resident Evil 2 Remake is going to be $15 on Black Friday. And let me tell you right now, that is a big value. In fact, I never owned the game. I rented it from Redbox. And so I might actually buy that one and dive back in because, man, does it look good. Who knows? I might do a second playthrough on the Xbox One. But considering just how big the gaming industry has gotten, to see the original's lifetime sales being surpassed by the remake, that's just the way of the road in 2019. But finally, for fans of Master Chief and Halo, the Halo show enters production at Showtime. More characters have been cast. While we've known about Showtime's Halo show for over a year, information has been somewhat sparse. Though the adaptation faced some tribulations after losing its director and executive producer, new ones were found and the show has gotten back on track. Today, Showtime confirmed that its Halo show has officially entered production while also revealing 3 more cast members and their respective characters. Danny Sapani, I probably mispronounced that name, an actor who has appeared on shows like Penny Dreadful and Harlots, will be portraying Captain Jacob Keyes, a notable character from Halo Reach and Halo Combat Evolved. His daughter, Dr. Miranda Keyes, will also appear in Showtime's Halo show. She will be portrayed by Olive Gray, an actress best known for portraying Mia Stone in Series 1 of Half Moon Investigations. Finally, actress Charlie Murphy from Peaky Blinders will be playing Maki, a human who was raised by the Covenant after being orphaned. Sure, why not? As Master Chief and Cortana have also been cast, it seems that most of the show's major players are in place after today's casting announcement. To celebrate the announcement, the official Twitter account for the show released a picture of the entire main cast. You can check it out below. And so there you have it. Master Chief, one of the shortest people in the picture. That makes me uncomfortable. But if you were curious as to how the production on the show was going, it looks like it should air sometime in 2021, and it looks to be on track with today's production announcement. Right now, tempering my expectations on this one. I'm hoping for the best, expecting the worst. That's pretty much how I'm going into this. Of course, when it comes to video game adaptations, they're beginning to get a bit better. Of course, we saw the Michael Fassbender Assassin's Creed film absolutely tank. We saw the Tomb Raider movie that came out not do horrible, but definitely didn't do gangbusters. Then you see stuff like the Netflix's Witcher, which looks to be pretty good, coming out next month. Then you have the Halo show, which could also be pretty good, giving it the benefit of the doubt. And so, if you were looking forward to that one, it looks like 2021 is still on track, but the production and the cast are both rearing and ready to go, so it should be a pretty exciting time. But with that being said, that rounds out today's episode of the Jampack Report. If you enjoyed this one, drop me a like down below. If you are watching on YouTube or if you're on a podcast feed, leave me a review on a podcast service of your choice. I would appreciate it very much. But until tomorrow, have a phenomenal rest of your day. I will talk to you soon, and peace.